And today we're here to talk through top qualities of ISA talent. I would love to hear from you in the chat box what brought you here today. So tell me your location, tell me what position you have. So you might say I'm a team leader, I own a real estate company, maybe you're an agent or an inside sales agent, but tell me what brought you to today's webinar and your position. So location, what brought you here, and then what your position is on a team or as an individual. That would be amazing. All right, so I'm excited to jump in today. This class today is going to be 30 minutes long. I see that question in the chat box, and we will send a recording. And why are we talking about this? Well, a lot of people right now are noticing it's a bit harder to convert leads. Has anybody noticed that? Lead conversion is definitely changing. And what a lot of people are realizing is part of that challenge is not having enough time to appropriately follow up with all the leads that we have. And so that is where hiring an inside sales agent can come in on the team. So before we dive in, let me real quick talk about why I'm passionate about this subject. And then we're going to dive into what are you looking for when you're hiring an ISA? What are some red flags that might be, they're a great person, they're just not great for this position. And then at the end, I'll tell you where you can find more information a lot like this one. So the reason I'm passionate about this topic is I got into inside sales in 2006. I always joke around to not guess my age, but I've been doing this now for almost 20 years. And I have also been an ISA manager. I've run a department of ISAs, and I've had to hire a lot of people. And unfortunately, I've also had to fire people. Who here has ever had to let a team member go? That is tough. And so my goal today is to help you as much as possible avoid having to let someone go, because we're going to hire them right from the beginning. And obviously that those, departures will still happen, but if we can help make them happen less often, that would be a huge win for today's webinar. I also teach a class with MAPS called How to Hire, Train, and Retain ISAs. That class is about 1.5 sessions on hiring, and then the entire rest of the class is about leading. So I see some of you type in and say, I want to start a department, or I already have ISAs, how do I lead them? And that class is really largely focused on how do you lead an ISA or an ISA department. So I'll tell you more at the end of how to get into that class. So what are we looking for when we hire an ISA? Do you have your notes ready? You only remember 8% of what you hear. So I really encourage you to take some notes today. All right, so the first thing we're looking for, and it's going to sound a little bit like a Hallmark card, okay? But we're looking for someone who, when you talk to them on the phone, they feel like a friend quickly, okay? Let me ask y'all, why would I say that about this ISA position? And you can unmute yourselves. I like Marie, she said, I need a Care Bear. Tanya, go ahead.
Because you like to work with people, you like trust, and I forget how that goes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I totally hear what you mean. You like to work with people that you feel a connection to, right? People, how many of you, think back for a minute, how many of you have made a decision to buy something or to work with a particular person just because you liked them? And maybe the product they had maybe even cost more than someone else, but you just liked them. Just today, I made that decision. I made a large purchase, and it was because I liked the person. That was really honestly, my energy went up around them. And that helped me realize this is the person I need in my world. My energy goes up around them. And also one reason I'm saying they need to feel like a friend quickly is you are hiring someone to do lead generation on your team and lead conversion. And a lot of that's going to be over the phone. So sometimes we hear people say, yeah, when I interviewed them, they felt a little awkward on the phone, but I figured they were nervous. Are they going to be nervous making lead generation phone calls?
Yeah.
Yes. Are they going to be nervous doing follow-up or nervous dealing with objections? Yeah. Probably so, right? So if we don't find someone who, even when they're nervous, they make a good connection, that is right out of the gate going to be a bit of a red flag. Okay, so we do want someone who, even in the interview process, they do feel relaxed pretty quickly. By the way, at the end, I'll have time for questions. So if you have a question, just hang tight and I will come to you. I promise. Okay, so number one, we're looking for someone who feels like a friend quickly. All right. Number two is we are looking for someone who is results oriented. Results oriented. And I want to make a clarification here. And if any of you here have a customer service background, I do believe customer service that background can serve in the ISA position well. Here's the thing though, is it's called inside what? Sales. Inside sales. And what we find is a lot of times people will hire people that are customer service oriented, or they have customer service background. And I think that's okay as long as they are wired like a salesperson. So I've coached the inside sales position since 2008. So what is that? 15 years now. And I've noticed a pattern is when we have someone who is customer service only, they're not a salesperson, they're customer service only. What happens is they feel bad. If I could get a penny for every time I've heard that word, those words, coaching ISAs, I'd be a millionaire by now. Because what they'll say is, ooh, but I feel bad asking for the appointment. I feel bad digging into their objection. Whereas other people with a sales mindset are looking at that like, no, I mean, we're just helping them. Why would you feel bad? Like they need to meet with someone. Why would you feel bad asking for an appointment? So again, it doesn't mean that they're not a great person. They're just not going to be the right fit for this position. Okay. Now I do want to be clear real quick. There is definitely a customer service element to this, right? Because there is a lot of follow-up that an inside sales agent is going to need to do. So they do need to be good at knowing how to work with customers. They need to be good at how they word things and how they talk to people. But at the end of the day, they do need to understand that meeting with you is actually the best way to help them. And that's truly how I felt about it on my team. I had never done sales coming into my position ever. I was a high school teacher. But as soon as I realized other realtors are not taking care of people and our team will, my desire to get them in with our team went through the roof. Because let's say I'm talking to you, Nick, and I'm hearing that you're going to interview other people. What's running through my head is if he works with anyone else other than our team, I am not sure he's going to be taken care of. I know our team's going to help them get the most amount of money. Nick has to meet with us. And so it was that desire, not I feel bad asking Nick. No, Nick needs us. Like we're going to take care of him. See the difference? So it's okay if they don't have past sales experience. And it is okay if they come from a customer service background. But in that interview process, make sure you figure out, do they have a sales mentality, or do they have that desire to help people? Are they willing to ask for appointments? Are they willing to do that? That's going to be really important. Another quality that you want to look for, and this is huge, and I think this applies to every team member that you talk to, every team member, for any position, is are they teachable? Are they teachable? One way that you can figure this out in the interview process is give them I don't like calling them scripts, but you know what I'm talking about. Give them a conversation guide. You might call it a script for a conversation. And do that in the interview process. And just say, you know what, Jenny, the next time we meet, we'll talk through this. So, here's a language guide for you. Take a look at it and we'll talk about it next time we get together. What we're looking for, I would love to see Jenny show up to that next interview, and it is obvious she spent some time with that conversation guide. Okay, we're gonna maybe role play. And I want to see that Jenny has read it before. I'm going to want to see that she's familiar with it. The other thing, though, that it's going to help you figure out is who is not teachable. So true story, and this is very cringy, okay? It's a true story. We gave a script once to a potential hire for the sales position. And he had plenty of time to review the document. And when we got together for the interview, he said, oh, I did not like that. I rewrote it. I did not think that sounded good. And that right away told me this person is not teachable because they're already arguing or disagreeing with us. And by the way, they're allowed to disagree. That's okay. But it just told me this means that we're not the right fit. There's an element when you start in this position, and I can't emphasize this enough. there has to be a willingness to say, I don't know about this, but if you say it works and you're successful, I'm willing to do it. It might seem a little off to me. I might not totally get it yet. But you know what, Sharon? If you're telling me that this works, I'll do it. We need that, right? We need a teachable spirit. Something else you can do is one time I was interviewing someone and I was just trying to pick something to give him feedback on simply to see how he responded. So on his resume, I picked the dumbest thing. I just said, hey, just for future feedback, you might want to make your address and phone number a little bigger. It was a little hard to find, which actually was true. And but honestly, I don't care about that. I just wanted to see how did he react to me when I gave him some constructive feedback on his resume. I just wanted to see, was he, oh man, thank you for telling me? Or was it defensive? Did he receive that well? So that's something you could do is when you're interviewing. Again, I think anybody on your team, just give them some feedback and see how they respond. Okay. All right. This one is more of a red flag, is are they late? That might be obvious to you, but I do want to share with you once. I hired someone who was the top Verizon sales rep for the Southeast. If the top Verizon sales rep walked into your team and was interviewing, and they had won awards, they were the top salesperson for Verizon in the entire Southeast, you'd probably want to hire him, right? And I interviewed that person. Honestly, like so good talking. She definitely had sales down. But I started to notice she was late on getting me back her references. And I usually really pay attention to that. So if I said to Marie, hey, when will you have your references back to me? And she says by Friday at 3 o'clock. If I don't have them by Friday at 3, typically that would be a huge, I don't know that we're going to proceed. But for this girl, because she was the top Verizon sales rep in the Southeast, when she gave me her references about an hour late, I rationalized it. And by the way, she rationalized it too. And you know what ended up happening? She was consistently late to our team. She was late to our team meeting. She was late for work. She wanted to leave early. And I had one of the hardest conversations I've ever had in my leadership. We finally parted ways, which was very hard. And that was on me because I didn't pay attention to a little red flag and I proceeded because I loved her background. Have any of you ever done that, by the way? I'm not the only one, right? And hear me when I say this. This has been one of the biggest lessons in leadership to me. I hired 2 people that day, and one of them was absolutely stellar. And this other girl, she was stellar too, but she didn't have the work ethic. And the one who was stellar, who I never, ever, ever would want to lose, the day I let the late person go, the stellar one came to me and she said, I was actually considering leaving the team because I was really starting to question if you were a good leader. And it was like a knife to the heart. And she just said, I didn't understand why you were letting that behavior go on. And it really was making me question if you could lead me. And it just made me realize, wow, how many people have I lost before because I was extending grace and tolerance to something that really needed to be addressed, right? Now, let me be clear. There are times where someone is behaving out of their normal pattern, right? Like if I'm working with Dan and Dan has a track record of being on time and he has a month where he's late and then I find out something's going on with the family at home, that's going to be a different scenario, right? So pay attention to patterns more than isolated incidents. And I would write that down. This is true in your whole life. Pay attention to patterns instead of isolated incidents. However, if someone is late in the interview process and making excuses, that is a huge red flag. Okay, so just really be careful. All right. Really, the next thing I would say, and this is going to depend on your team, each of you may have a different right fit for this, but look for someone who fits your culture. I also made a hire once who she did not like a loud environment. And our team was loud. We all were in one room. There were about 7 of us in a room with loud music. noise canceling headsets and we would make calls together, and it was fun. She did not think it was fun. And that person unfortunately left the team. And the number one reason she left the team is she didn't like how loud it was. But that was part of our culture, and we stayed in great terms. In fact, we would go to the gym together a lot, actually, even after she left the team. So it wasn't like there were hard feelings there, but it was one of those, wow, I should have made sure that she really fit into our culture. I never thought about, like, could this person do well in a loud lead generation room? Could they, if you're a team that likes to go out to lunch together a lot, is this someone that likes to be social? If you're a team that, whatever it is, whatever your unique culture is this someone that would enjoy that? Because it doesn't serve them either if they're in a culture at work that they just really don't enjoy, right? So you want to make sure that you figure that out. So these are just a few things. The biggest things I would say is that they have a sales mindset, which means they're results oriented. So yes, they want to keep people happy, but they understand sometimes they're going to need to ask for the appointment to keep, that's the best way to take care of people. And you want someone with a teachable spirit who feels like a friend quickly. So if I had to summarize an ISA, that's what it would be. Those three main things. There are other things, but it's not something we have time to cover here. More about the hiring process and the interview process. What does the ad look like and things like that. And that's something we do provide in class 1 of the How to Hire, Train, and Retain ISAs. So if that's something you would like to get, the ad, the job ad, we give you a social media ad, we give you an ad to put online. We talk through compensation. We talk through, can they be virtual or should they be local? We talk through, should they be licensed or unlicensed? All of that is in the class, How to Hire, Train, and Retain ISAs. And that class starts Thursday. So just 2 days from right now, that class begins. And it's a 5-week class, 5 weeks. The first 4 weeks are all instructional. And obviously we have time for Q&A. Sandy, I saw you had a question, so I will come back to you. But every single class has Q&A at the end of it. And we also record it. So if you are out of town or something like that, that is no big deal. We record every single class. And the other thing I would say is we don't offer this class often. Rodrigo could probably remind me, he's here with MAPS. I think the last time we offered this class was in August of last year, somewhere in there. And we don't offer it very often. I don't know when it will be offered again. So if you're sitting here thinking, I know one day I want an ISA, I'm not sure if I'm ready quite yet, I would still encourage you to go ahead and take the class, because then you have the information. You take good notes, and if 9 months from now you decide you want to hire someone, you have had all the training that you need. Also, this class is for people that want to lead a department well. So if you have, maybe you're the ISA and you think, gosh, one day I'd love to have 10 of us in a whole department that I'm running, this class is for you too. So it's not just hiring, it's also how to lead them, how to keep them on the team, how do you fit them into the culture, how do you pay them, all of it, all of that stuff. Fernanda, it is $199, just one-time payment of $199 for 6 months, not 6 months. Please forget I just said that. I teach 2 classes and one of them is 6 months. And I think out of habit, I just started to talk about the other one. This class is 5 weeks long and it is $199, just one time, okay? The link for it is there in the chat box. And there was one other thing I was going to say. Oh, the first 4 classes are instructional. The last class is entirely Q&A, because I want to make sure every single question you have about running an inside sales department is answered by the time the class is over. So it is 4 classes of intense content. And then the last class is all just Q&A, so that by the end you feel really good that you've got everything that you need. Okay. Kathy, it's going to be on Thursdays. Let me double check the time. Unless Rodrigo, you have it right there. I got to pull up my calendar. I think it's 1:30. Say that again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 2:30 Central.
Are you sure? I have it down as 1:30 to 2:30 Eastern time. So maybe I need to get with you, Rodrigo.
Okay.
I have it in my calendar or something else. That's funny. But it's going to be Thursdays. And I would go with what Rodrigo said. I might have it down wrong in my calendar. So that it's going to be Thursdays and it is recorded so that way you can watch it. I love it when you're live because I can interact with you. But I also totally get it. If you're going to be on vacation or if you have a closing or something with your team, that's why we record it. It's totally fine. Okay. Each class, Tanya, is 1 hour. Okay. Well, I'm glad we had this conversation because I would have showed up for class 2 hours early. So it is 3:30 Eastern on Thursdays. 3:30 Eastern on Thursdays. I think I've been teaching webinars since 2008. This is the first time I ever had a class time down wrong in my calendar. So I'm very glad we talked about it. All right, so 3:30 Eastern on Thursdays. It's 1 hour long for 5 weeks, and it is recorded. I see a question, are you using the ISA playbook? That's a great question. So I actually helped write the ISA playbook with Jason Abrams. So we spent a lot of time on that together. So some of that is in the class, and then there's things in there that were not in the playbook. He pulled from a lot of different places. And so not everything in the class is in the playbook. Any other questions? Sandy, it looks like it already was addressed. Oh, go ahead.
I was wondering, do you also have a plan for training that person that you bring on?
That's a really, really good question. Yes. So that is a different class because the one we're talking about today, the how to hire, train, and retain ISAs, is really for the leader. So we're talking about how you pay them and hire them, how do you lead them, all that stuff. But there is a different class called Mega Lead Conversion. And that class is everything that honestly an agent or an ISA needs to know to be really skilled at converting leads. So I would say about half that class are inside sales agents and about half the class are buyer agents, listing agents. And that class is running right now. So if you have someone now, you can put them in. We're 4 weeks in, but they can still jump in. Or we have another class launching August 2nd called Mega Lead Conversion. So just to be clear, there are 2 different programs I teach. How to hire, train, and retain ISAs, which starts this Thursday at 3:30 Eastern. Thank you, Amanda and Rodrigo. And then the other class is for the actual person doing the calls. And that one is called Mega Lead Conversion.
So is that the same? Me and my team members took your ISA class a couple years ago. Is that the same class or is it a new version of that class?
It depends when you took it. So we revamped it in like middle of 2020. And even since then, I've revamped it a bit more. So it may be similar or different. It depends when you took it. So there was a class that ran for 5 years that we we revamped that class in 2020 into a whole new version. So it would just depend how long ago you took it.
And how much is that class or how does it work?
Yeah, that class. So just so everyone's clear, now we're talking about Mega Lead Conversion. That class is $199 a month for 2 people to be on there. For perspective, it used to be $800 a month for 1 person. And when COVID hit, we reworked things to make it more accessible. So now it's $199 a month for 2 people from your team. And that class is 6 months long. And we teach everything from how do you open a call so they actually stay on the phone with you? So sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, everyone's hanging up on me. Well, that's probably in how we're opening the call. So how do you open the call so they stay on the phone? What do you do if they say, I'm busy, call me later? How do you set an appointment that shows up? The statistics out of the class are that people are showing up 70 to 80% of the time using our language. Normally it's more like 40 to 50. And we really go through everything from hello through signed agency agreement. And that's why a lot of buyer agents, listing agents, and inside sales agents take it. And then we give them tracking systems. So Sandy, my goal in writing that class was if someone, like you're still going to need to lead them, obviously, in-house, the daily accountability, stuff like that. But if you thought, I don't want to train this person, I want someone else to train them and make them really good on the phone, that's what the class is for.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So that class is Mega Lead Conversion, and you can go to megaleadconversion.com. And you can either sign up for the one that's a couple weeks in and just watch the recordings, or you could join us on August 2nd for the fresh class. And then How to Hire, Train, and Retain is Thursday. Okay, any other questions? That was a good question. Dan, the ISA playbook is on KW Connect. I think it just got uploaded, which is why I'm not sure. I've seen it because Jason sent it to me, but it was directly sent to me, and they were saying we're going to soon put it up. I believe it's on KW Connect, but if it's not, it will be soon. Okay, good. It is there. That was a lot of fun to work on, by the way. Cool. All right. Anybody else? Questions? Amanda, that's a good question. Shoot me, shoot Fast Track an email, fasttrack@kw.com. Is that okay, Rodrigo? Okay. Because I think you know where it is more than I do. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Any other questions or thoughts? Yeah. Thank you, Marie. You just won't be able to get to it if you don't have a login for KW. That's all.
Anna, I just
Yes.
want to say that the class that me and my team took that you taught, and it's similar to this mega lead conversion, because I think it was only in the last couple of years. It was really, really, really good. So if
Okay.
anybody's thinking about it, it was detailed. It had all kinds of information, all kinds of tools to use. So I would highly recommend it.
Oh, thank you, Sandy. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
I mean, I think it's awesome, but it always helps if someone else who took it can say something about it. So thank you. I really appreciate that. I'll put the link in there real quick for that class. I wasn't planning to talk about it today, but you guys have asked great questions. megaleadconversion.com. I just put that into the chat box. So I'm curious, who will I see Thursday? Anybody here signing up for class? I'd love to see you. Awesome. Looks like a couple of you, which is great. So Thursday we'll do the class for the leaders. We do not do scripts in that class, again, just to differentiate. That's in the Mega Lead Conversion class. So Thursday's class is all about leadership. Oh, you'll be in Austin? Well, that's good. That's why we record it. I just got an email today from someone who said, I felt really sad for her, and I was really impressed that she emailed me. But she said she had a death in the family, would be at a funeral, and she would try to watch the class live. And I was like, please don't watch the class live on the day of your family's funeral. You can watch the recording. It's really okay. And I appreciated that she communicated that. I thought that was really sweet. But yeah, if you're ever considering hiring an ISA, this is how I look at it. It's $199 for 5 weeks. How much does a wrong hire cost you? You know, if we can help you avoid that, it will be well worth it. It'll be well worth it. So yeah, it's a lot more. I heard once that it was around $68,000 for just your typical low level hire. And this is not a low level hire. And what they were saying is the amount of work that other people on the team lose because they're distracted. So think of the guy or the girl that I said almost left because she thought I wasn't a good leader. She was really disturbed by this other ISA's behavior. How much did that distract her? How much money did she not make because she was distracted by what was going on in the office, right? Plus the time and energy that you put into hiring. So you will lose a lot of money by making the wrong hire. And you know what? That happens sometimes as a business owner. Don't beat yourself up. But if I can help prevent that for you, I want to. And that's where this class will help you. All right, well, we said this would be 30 minutes and we are right at 30 minutes. So I want to respect your time and let you go. So again, How to Hire, Train, and Retain is Thursday, $199 for 5 weeks. Everything's recorded, 3:30 Eastern time. And then Mega Lead Conversion, totally separate class about how to convert leads. That starts on August 2nd. And you can go to megaleadconversion.com to get info about that class. All right, thanks for joining me today, guys. I will see you hopefully Thursday or in one of the classes sometime. Bye, everyone.